tire tests and new bodies for Chevrolet. And to wrap it all up, I have some grades to hand out for every single NASCAR Cup Series driver on their 2025 season. What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Talkin NASCAR. I'm your host, Andrew. Thank you all for joining me once again today on Sunday, November 16th. The NASCAR Cup Series season is over, but that doesn't mean I still have nothing to talk about it because I have some grades to hand out for every single full-time NASCAR Cup Series driver. That will be saved for the end of this episode. But until then, I have a couple, actually, more than a couple of stories that I want to share with you guys. Starting off with Kyle Busch, he announced a couple days ago that he will be competing in the Snowball Derby. And for those not aware with the Snowball Derby, it is an annual super late model short track event held in Pensacola, Florida at Five Flags Speedway. It's also referred to as the Daytona 500 of short track racing. And some notable entries this year, including Kyle Busch, are Ty Majeski, and Caden Honeycutt, I'm pretty sure. Eric Jones as well. He's also won this 2 times, same with Ty Majeski. And Rich Bickle Jr. holds the record for the most wins with 5 victories, for those of you who are also wondering. So this is a pretty cool event. It will be held in December, on December 4th through December 7th. Top 30 drivers that qualify in will lock into the main event. There'll be some last chance qualifiers and some provisional spots as well. So we'll see who all gets into that event. For those of you who are planning not to attend and maybe want to watch this, if you're curious, like I may be kind of curious to watch the Snowball Derby, you can watch it on Flow Racing. It's available to stream on there. It's a local short track racing channel, Flow Racing is, so you can go check that out there. So I thought that was kind of cool to see. I think this will be Kyle Busch's first time racing in the Snowball Derby since I think it's 2020. It'll be the first time he's been racing in the Snowball Derby. So cool story. Good luck to Kyle Busch and everyone else competing in the Snowball Derby. And I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be tuning in for this race because I'm very curious to see how it will all pan out. In other news, NASCAR 25, the new video game that iRacing released, the new console video game, is now available on PC. I think it released on PC a couple days ago on November 14th, I'm pretty sure. So for those of you who maybe are interested in playing NASCAR 25 and you are a PC player, it is now available and you don't have to only buy it on console. So I think that will be a good thing for those of you who are PC players. For me, I'm really not gonna be able to play NASCAR 25. It's not available on the Nintendo Switch, and I really don't want to go out and buy another console or another way to play it. So that's not a really big deal for me. So I thought I'd put my little 2 cents in there. So yeah, NASCAR 25 is now on PC for those of you who do play PC and plan to possibly play this game. In other news, DGM Racing announced that Josh Williams will be returning to their full-time Xfinity Series ride next season in the number 92 car, I believe next season. Yes, the number 92 car for DGM Racing. Josh Williams previously has been racing for Calling Racing in this past season as well. I believe he raced for Alpha Prime Racing and for DGM Racing. And Josh Williams and DJ Racing, they are very familiar with each other, not only from this season, but from previous seasons before Josh Williams made the move over to Calling Racing. And that's where Josh Williams' best seasons have come with DGM Racing. It's a great fit for both sides because Josh Williams was born in Florida, in Port Charlotte, Florida, and DGM Racing is a Florida-based team. So it's a really good fit overall. Again, where the best seasons came from with Josh Williams were with DGM Racing. So I think it's a really good fit. I'm hoping that both these sides continue to do well. They've previously had Josh Bilicki and some other rotating guys in these seats. They did announce recently that Josh Bilicki will not be returning to their team next season, which is very disappointing because Josh Williams is a Wisconsin driver, and I am very sad to see him leave. Steve Addington will be promoted to the full-time crew chief of the number 92 car, and Reed Sorenson, a former NASCAR Cup Series driver, will serve as Josh Williams' spotter. I think Reed Sorenson has also spotted for several other teams in the Xfinity Series and possibly in the Cup Series. I'm pretty sure he's spotted in the Cup Series pretty recently. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah. So very cool to see Josh Williams back with DGM Racing. Team owner Mario Gosselin said, quote, it is really a full circle moment welcoming Josh back to our organization. We spent countless hours working on race cars together, achieving some of our best results, and building memories that have shaped this team into what it is today. Josh is more than just a driver. He's a true friend of mine and someone that we all call family. He even shared his sponsor with me so I could race last offseason. He's a racer through and through, and his passion makes him a perfect fit for our team as we enter in a new era, the NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. Yeah, if that doesn't sound like true commitment and friendship in NASCAR and racing overall, then I don't know what that is at all. And sticking with the O'Reilly Auto Parts series, Junior Motorsports announced their crew chief lineup for next season. Rodney Childers, as we already know, will be crew chiefing the number one car, driven both by Carson Kvapil and Connor Zilich. Andrew Overstreet will now be crew chiefing champion Justin Allgaier. Corey Shea will now be crew chiefing for Sammy Smith in the 8 car. Philip Bell will now be crew chiefing the part-time number 9 car for Junior Motorsports, and Marty Lindley will continue his duties atop the pit box of the 88 car with Raja Caruth, and I believe Carson Kvapil will be racing that car as well. A little side note on Carson Kvapil real quick. I kind of actually figured out and learned the reasons why he's not full-time. It's kind of similar for Raja Caruth, is that Carson Kvapil didn't have some sponsorship with them, which is very sad to see. I know he brought Bass Pro Shops on board with him this year, or as I more or less they kind of continued to support Junior Motorsports. They've done that in the past with Noah Gregson before, so I feel like that was something that was a little surprising to me that Carson Kvapil couldn't come up with sponsorship, but that makes a little bit more sense because Carson Kvapil really isn't a big name in the NASCAR world. He's not a top prospect, really, necessarily, compared to guys like Corey Day, who does have big corporate sponsor support, or like William Sawalich, no disrespect to those guys. So I thought that was very interesting to hear, though. Moving on, in the antitrust case side of things, the court ruled that 2311 Racing and Front Row Motorsports will be allowed to depose of Roger Penske and Rick Hendrick at trial. So essentially, what that means is that both teams will be able to question and interview and basically get a testimony from Roger Penske and Rick Hendrick. Most likely not at the trial itself. They won't have to testify in front of the jury. It'll just probably be a meeting in a room or at a conference or even over video call. So that was something that both owners have been kind of fighting against. They really haven't want to. They don't really want to be deposed by the teams or give some statements, most likely to protect the private business endeavors of both teams. They don't want some of their records getting out into the public, which is very common in NASCAR, like I've already mentioned. I mean, NASCAR, the organization itself, does not want to have their business records out in public. That's why they're trying to have this trial or this antitrust case resolved before trial, so none of their records go public, and none of the teams do either. That's why in these new contracts that drivers sign, no dollar figures are announced, no amount of years are announced. Pretty much, I mean, you'll get the 1 year or the multi-year contract, that kind of label, but besides that, you don't really get that much information out there. Yeah, so I thought that was a very interesting point to make note of, something I've talked about here previously, made sure that it was updated and the correct information was out there. And as of right now, the antitrust case is still trending towards the trial on December 1st. We are a little about halfway through the month of November, maybe a little bit less than halfway to the end of November. So the trial is rapidly approaching, and we've heard from updates that NASCAR wants this lawsuit resolved. They've been working towards it, even though Denny Hamlin said that, there really hasn't been any strides or any progress made in that settlement kind of area. So we'll see how this trial pans out, see if any more developments come up, and I will be sure to keep you guys updated on that front. Moving on this week, even though it's the off season, some teams are still competing in some tire tests at Bristol Motor Speedway. I believe Ryan Preece representing Ford, Bubba Wallace representing Toyota, and Alex Bowman of Chevrolet in the 48 car for Hendrick Motorsports are the ones competing in this test. I believe this test was on Wednesday and Thursday at Bristol Motor Speedway. And there's a lot of things that was tested at Bristol this past week. One was a tire compound that Goodyear was bringing out to hopefully not be affected by temperature of the track, so it will still be a high wire. Ooh boy, a high wear tire compound, but it won't be really strictly affected by the temperature of the track like we've seen at past or more recent Bristol Motor Speedway races. They're also testing out the new short track package with 750 horsepower, and since Bristol Motor Speedway, and I believe Darlington and Dover. Maybe one more track involved in that as well. They are all moving to the short track package, the short track and road course package, instead of being on the intermediate package right now. So that was also being tested out. And there was this clip that kind of surfaced about Ryan Preece's car. There was no underwing or diffuser in the rear of his car, and if there was, it was the smallest diffuser that anyone has ever seen. And I believe NASCAR was testing this out for short tracks, like getting rid of the diffuser on the back of the car. I believe that was something they were working on either last offseason or this offseason to kind of help the short track package. And I believe they kind of went away from that and are now working on the tires more specifically. So a lot of things have been tested this week. No real uh, news to come out of that besides that there was a test at Bristol Motor Speedway. Again, more things could come out in the coming days, but so far nothing has really come out. No statements been made, and we only will know probably when the season comes around. Moving on, the starting times for the entire 2026 schedules have been revealed or announced, I should say. One thing that kind of stuck, mostly for the Cup Series, some things that kind of stuck out to me. I'm pretty sure the Advent Health 400 from Kansas was actually added back on to the Fox schedule. So Fox has picked up another race. So now moving off of cable with FS1 over to Big Fox, a network channel, which is pretty huge for NASCAR as well. The All-Star race at Dover Motor Speedway will be during the day, a 3 p.m. Eastern starting time. So for me here in Wisconsin in the middle, it'll be about a 2 p.m. starting time, I'm pretty sure. So the All-Star race won't be under the lights, unfortunately. And I believe as well, in the midsummer stretch, there's going to be 3 straight night races. You're going to have Chicagoland Speedway for the 4th of July on TNT. It's going to be a 6 p.m. Eastern starting time. The Quaker State 400 from Echo Park Speedway in Atlanta will be a 7 p.m. starting time. And North Wilkesboro, getting their first Point Series race in a very long time, will also be a 7 p.m. Eastern starting time. So 3 straight night races. Probably a strategic move because for all 3 tracks, or it will be pretty hot. Chicagoland going to be probably pretty hot during the day. I know Midwest summers are brutal. Echo Park Speedway in Atlanta during the day is going to be pretty hot. And North Wilkesboro in the Carolinas, yeah, it's going to be pretty hot in the summer there. So moving them to the evening is probably a good idea by NASCAR. Very good strategic move. We've had, I believe at Nashville, they had a day race, I'm pretty sure, and it was just so hot there. And at Nashville, you can't bring outside drinks in, and you have to buy it from inside the stadium or the arena, the track. They have to buy it there, so that's kind of an inconvenience. It's gonna be so hot there. The Nashville race is a night race, by the way, so don't you guys worry about that. I'm not saying that it isn't as well. Besides that, Richmond, the Cookout 400 on August 15th will also be a night race. That's a Saturday night race. The 3 night races I just mentioned, Chicagoland, Atlanta, and Wilkesboro, those are on Sunday. Richmond's a Saturday race. And then you got New Hampshire, and then Daytona is going to be a night race as well. That's on big NBC. And looking at the playoffs and what should be NBC's coverage of the NASCAR Cup Series season, it's mostly USA races, and the ratings for USA haven't been that great. And there's a bit of controversy right now between USA and NBC right now. Not fully sure what those details are. I might have to do some more research on that, but most of the time for NBC's coverage of the NASCAR Cup Series, it will be on USA. There's only going to be 4 races on big NBC, which you don't like to see that, but I mean, NASCAR got paid with the new media rights deal, so I guess that's what they get. They really couldn't care less about the ratings if they get the bag, so I guess that's something. The championship race from Homestead, Miami will be a 3 p.m. Eastern starting time, so by the end of that race, it should be under the lights. at night, so that'll be a very interesting finish. That'll be a really beautiful backdrop for that end of the race. And another thing that kind of stuck out from this release is that NASCAR released this under the impression that the playoffs will still stand. I'm going to talk about this a little bit more, that the playoffs or a new format hasn't been totally decided on yet. And I don't want you guys to be out there thinking, oh, the playoff format with this release, it's going to be the playoff format. You don't have to assume that yet. You don't really have to assume that yet. A lot of things can happen. And as Mike Ford said on the Holler Talk podcast this week, NASCAR is still not decided. I'll talk about that in a second because I have some thoughts on that. So yeah, the playoffs are still standing according to this. So things can change though. Something that kind of stuck out for me there, and uh, other people kind of it stuck out to them as well. So there you go. All the starting times have been released for every single NASCAR Cup Series race and the O'Reilly Series and the Truck Series, I'm pretty sure, as well. Moving on Friday, Chevrolet and revealed their new body for the 2026 NASCAR Cup Series season, and to say the least, yeah, it's pretty underwhelming. And it will be a Chevrolet Camaro ZL1 race car for the NASCAR Cup Series season. They're bringing back the Camaro branding, and from looking at the pictures, it's pretty much the same. Apparently, in this, it has some upgraded styling, aligning with Chevrolet's recent Camaro ZL1 Carbon Performance package. So that's interesting, I guess. Chevrolet apparently collaborated with NASCAR on this update. The changes are a larger hood power dome, a revised front grille, and more pronounced rocker panels along the sides of the car. Um, yeah, okay. They're supposed to mirror the carbon performance packages for the ZL1. And yeah, this just looks like the Camaro they're running now, and I'm not surprised that they kind of stuck with this, but I'm really disappointed they didn't do more to possibly change this. I mean, it's just I'm at a loss for words at how like disappointed I am for this. Like I wasn't really expecting them to make some drastic changes. Like if they're gonna stick with the Chevrolet branding, which they should, in my opinion, I really think that would be a dumb decision to move away from the Chevrolet branding. The bow tie is iconic. I was thinking maybe the Malibu could be in consideration. There are some people throwing out ideas of the Corvette being an idea, which might look pretty sick out on track. I mean, I think the Toyota Supra, kind of a similar nose style to the Corvette, I thought that would look pretty sick. I think the Supra looks pretty cool as well. So getting supercars out there with the Corvette and the Mustang, now all Toyota had to do was just get their Supra out in the Cup Series, which, I mean, may not be a good idea in the Cup Series side of things, but yeah, I was a little bit disappointed by that. People were throwing out the idea that Cadillac could be finally moving into the NASCAR side of things, replacing Chevrolet, and I really, really don't want to see that. I mean, Cadillac, in my opinion, has no business being in NASCAR in racing at all. I think it should be Chevrolet. So anyway, yeah, the Chevrolet body, very disappointing. I'm not happy about it. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below and what you think about it. I will say there are changes that maybe are noticeable, but if you're a new fan that is maybe just listening to this for the first time, yeah, this is not anything different. Also, and as well, the picture that they put on this was totally an AI generated image. They couldn't even get a picture for this at an actual track. This is 100% an AI generated background with the car there. I mean, what is that? That, oh man, Chevrolet, you messed up, guys. Like, this sucks. Okay, I'm just gonna move on. This sucks. Okay, moving on. Mike Ford, NASCAR's managing director of race communications, was on the Holler Talk podcast on Tuesday, and he confirmed that there's no decision made on the new championship format for next season. He said on this podcast, I want to read you what he said. He said, "Quote: Where it stands right now, I don't think the playoff committee is going to meet again. I think we have gotten all the feedback that we needed from them. Awesome job, by the way, from the playoff committee. Now it's in NASCAR's hands. They're going to take all the feedback they got from every walk of life and every thought on the spectrum from no playoffs whatsoever to keeping it how and really beating that all up. their announcements to come. Honestly, I don't know where it is. It could be in 2 weeks, it could be in 2 months. So there you go. Nobody has any idea where and when the playoff format could be announced. So, yeah, it's just going to be a waiting game. It's all in NASCAR's hands, according to Mike Ford. As for the championship system or the championship format going forward, I've thought about it a little bit more, and I've kind of understood like everything that has been maybe possibly considered from the full season points format, which I wouldn't be mad about NASCAR going back to. I've also thought about possibly the original 10 race chase, and a very good suggestion kind of came out about how the race could come out, and I've kind of modeled my idea off of that, where you just have the 10 races, the top, I think it was like how many ever drivers you want making the playoffs. Decided on points, no win in your end whatsoever. That's one of the worst decisions ever. And then you have a couple wild card spots. Maybe you have 14 make it in, and you have two wild card spots for maybe the two most winningest drivers, or the two drivers that scored the most stage wins, or something like that, led the most laps, something like that. Wins would probably be the best idea. I mean, Shane Van Gisbergen, from what we saw this year, I mean, wasn't the best driver out there. He didn't finish inside the top 16 in points, uh, despite all of his wins. So with all his wins, and if he was a wild cards, if there was wild cards for the drivers with the most wins, SVG could get in that way. So I guess that would be a fun little added wild card system as well. So that was something I think NASCAR used to do back in the original chase. And so yeah, I thought that would be very interesting to go back to. At the end of the day, I just don't want the playoff system. I don't want winning you're in. I don't want the one race winner take all championship finale. I think that going back to the full season points format would probably be the most traditional and the most supported one. The chase, eh, I think that would really have to come down to how it works out on track, and how that the results kind of come back to, are we still questioning the champion like we did with Joey Logano? Because in the 10 races, the seasons of the chase, no one was really criticizing Jimmy Johnson or Brad Keselowski when they won the championships, or when Kurt Busch won his championship back in 2004. I believe. This was before I was born, guys. So cut me some slack. So at the end of the day, we just want a champion that we don't have to question, I guess, unlike Joey Logano or Kyle Larson, possibly. This year, though, was a little bit more of a crapshoot, because no driver in the Cup Series this year really kind of broke away from the rest of the pack this year. But let me know down in the comments what you think of this latest update, and what you think NASCAR should change their championship format to for 2026. Moving on, Colleague Racing has had some rumors circulating around their team in recent days, specifically talking about one of their five trucks. And as of right now, they have three drivers in three of their full time trucks. There's still two open seats left. One has Brendan Queen in one of the trucks, Daniel Dye and Justin Haley are in all three of those trucks. There's still one truck open that I believe will have one full time driver. And then you'll have one other truck, which could be an all star truck. And as of late, rumors that have circulated are that Tony Stewart, Casey Kane, and Greg Biffle all could be candidates to make some starts in the Craftsman Truck Series for Colin Racing's Dodge program. And it mostly stems from those guys having raced Dodge cars in some capacity in the past. But Chris Rice, CEO of Colin Racing, went on SiriusXM NASCAR radio and said that they don't have any contracts with them, and they are considering them, but they're also considering all the other possible options for that fifth all-star truck. But yeah, having Tony Stewart, Casey Kane, and Greg Biffle all in a one truck making starts in some capacity would be an incredible way to get Colin Racing's truck program up and running. I think that would be incredible, to say the least. Tony Stewart returning to NASCAR after selling off his team. You have Greg Biffle returning, who, I mean, he's been in the car before. I mean, he was going to drive for NY Racing in the 2024 Daytona 500 last year, until his deal kind of fell through with the team. They didn't pay him enough money, apparently. So that was something that came through. And Casey Kane just made his return this year at Rockingham with Richard Childress Racing in a HendrickCars.com sponsored car. A little weird there. But yeah, this would be a really cool scene, and we'll see where these rumors go from here. And speaking of Colling's truck program and Colling Racing from this past season, Christian Eckes still does not have a ride for next season. And I don't know where Christian Eckes is going to end up. And As of right now, I don't think he's going to be returning to the O'Reilly series. I mean, I think all of the good rides have pretty much filled up, unless he wants to go drive for Jordan Anderson Racing potentially, but I really don't see him wanting to take that shot. He might just honestly go down to the Truck Series and contend for a championship because right now, with Corey Heim most likely not being full time, this might be a good opportunity for Christian Eckes, and I think going to Calling Racing could be an option, but I've already discussed that McAnally Hugman Racing, his former team in the Truck Series, could be an option as well. Thor Sport could be an option as well. I know it's a Ford team, and Christian Eckes has really been with Chevrolet these past couple seasons, but I guess going to Dodge and Ram would be changing manufacturers anyway. So yeah, this will be very interesting to see where Christian Eckes ends up because he should have a full-time ride in some capacity, and I really hope he does not go down the same path as Corey Heim. And speaking of Corey Heim, Bob Procris, the top NASCAR insider, posted on X replying to a fan that the reason why Corey Heim does not have a full time ride with Joe Gibbs Racing in the Xfinity Series, sorry, the O'Reilly Series, is because of a scuffle that Corey Heim and Ty Gibbs had back in ARCA in 2021. Like, what is that, guys? That is insane. I would like to maybe spend a little bit more time on this, but I really don't think that there's a need to. Because, I mean, this was in 2021 when Gibbs and Heim were both still in ARCA driving for Toyota. Corey Heim driving for Venturini Motorsports, and Ty Gibbs driving for Joe Gibbs Racing. Ty Gibbs would jump up to the Xfinity Series and go to win the championship in 2022. I can use Xfinity in that context because it was then, not now. And yeah, if this dispute had been settled and Joe Gibbs really didn't care about that, Corey Heim would have easily have been in a Joe Gibbs racing car last year. He would not be a 2311 Racing development driver. So, yeah, I thought that was something that was very interesting. I maybe have mentioned it previously on this show. If I haven't, and this is your first time hearing it, well, now you know. Corey Heim doesn't have a ride in the Xfinity Series, sorry, O'Reilly Series, because of a scuffle that he and Ty Gibbs had back in 2021 in the ARCA Menard Series. And to be fair, Ty Gibbs does have some kind of power in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. I mean, he is listed as the owner of the 54 car that Taylor Gray drove this year. So, I don't know. Also would help if Corey Heim maybe brought the same amount of sponsorship money as someone like William Sawalch would have brought. No offense to William Sawalch. I think he's a great driver. Maybe Taylor Gray. Taylor Gray brings a lot of sponsorship to the table as well. So, not trying to disrespect any of those guys, but Corey Heim is just better, and if Corey Heim brought the amount of sponsorship that he did, that beef between Gibbs and Heim would have been squashed ages ago, and he would already be up in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. It's insane to think about, guys. That's the reason why Corey Heim doesn't have a better ride, or a full-time ride at the bare minimum. No sponsorship money, and a scuffle between Ty Gibbs at, like, that was when they were teenagers, 4 years ago. That's so dumb. And one more thing before I move on to grading every NASCAR Cup Series driver's season this year in 2025. I don't know how I missed this in my notes, but Junior Motorsports announced a couple days ago that they will be running the Daytona 500 in 2026 in the 40 car for Chevrolet with Justin Allgaier behind the wheel. They will once again be getting support from Chris Stapleton and his Traveler Whiskey brand once again. Some things different about this, though, is that you have a new font for Junior Motorsports in the 40 car, which is very interesting. I don't know how much I like it. I do really like the format, the font they ran this year. I thought it was really clean. It kind of matched the style of the car, but I guess we'll have to wait and see for how it looks on track. So this is very exciting, though. We got our first open entry for the Daytona 500 in November. So yeah, this is very exciting for me. I love the open entries in NASCAR. I think it creates a lot of cool storylines, especially for the Daytona 500. These smaller teams trying to get into the Great American Race. That's what I love most about that race. It's you have all these smaller entries getting up to the front. Guys like Junior Motorsports. I guess it's not a small team technically, but it's Dale Earnhardt Jr. and the Daytona 500. It just makes sense. So this is really exciting for me, and I'm really excited to see who all decides to show up for the Daytona 500 next season. But now it is time to move on to the final segment of today's show, grading every single NASCAR Cup Series driver's 2025 season on A to F scale. So let's see where your favorite driver landed on this year's grading scale. Going in alphabetical order, starting with AJ Allmendinger because it's easier for me. AJ Allmendinger finished in 26th in points, which for calling racing this season isn't terrible. I mean, he had an average finish of 21st. The one thing that really stuck out, though, was that he did not have a single top five on a road course. Like, how is that possible? Like, AJ Allmendinger, the dude's competing in an IMSA test along with Connor Zilic this week. So, how does that make any sense whatsoever? He did start out the year really, really good. I mean, he had a couple top fives at Homestead, I'm pretty sure. Las Vegas as well. Bristol, he might have been running really, really good. So on some of the ovals, especially on the concrete ovals, AJ Allmendinger was running very, very good. But not having a top five at a road course, I mean, that's a little disappointing. And considering he ended up in 26th after starting the year so, so hot, wasn't really the best season for AJ Allmendinger. But with Calling Racing moving over to Dodge and Ram, I wouldn't be surprised if the support that Calling Racing was received was starting to be kind of cut back on a little bit more, or Chevrolet wasn't releasing as much. So combined with all that and Calling Racing being the team that it is and not being the top tier teams, yeah, it wasn't a great season, so I'm probably gonna give this just a C. He met kind of expectations, especially for Calling Racing. Would have liked to see a little bit more, but a C feels good for AJ Allmendinger. Christopher Bell, on the other hand, driving for Joe Gibbs Racing in the 20 car. And one quick thing, you may notice that my expectations may kind of shift for each team and each driver. I mean, I won't grade AJ Allmendinger on the same skill as Christopher Bell, just to kind of put that out there. But for Christopher Bell, getting back to him, finished fifth in the point standings this year, was really, really close to making the championship four once again. But this is back-to-back years of him not making the championship four. Does have 4 wins, had 3 straight wins early in the season at, I believe it was at Phoenix, Circuit of the Americas, and Atlanta. So that was a great start. Definitely cooled off towards the end of the year, but this was still a really good season overall for Christopher Bell. And this year had definitely a lot more parity, which was very interesting, but had an average finish of 11, led 282 laps. A very good season overall for Christopher Bell. I'm gonna give him I think I'm gonna give him an A minus. I feel like an A minus is a good grade for him. I don't know, like you would expect that Christopher Bell would be here. We would kind of expect him to finish inside the top four and be in the championship four once again, but Chase Briscoe and Denny Hamlin kind of took those spots from him. So I feel like A minus is good, maybe a B plus, A minus B plus range. That's kind of where I would give Christopher Bell a grade for this season. For Josh Berry, though, for the Wood Brothers, this was a very interesting season. I mean, his first year with the new team, new crew chief for the Wood Brothers, and all things considered, this was a fairly good season. I mean, had a very convincing win at Las Vegas early in the year, but was very inconsistent going forward. Didn't have any poles, had an average finish of 21st as well, so wasn't entirely great. Again, that win at Las Vegas got him into the playoffs, but had 9 DNFs. Ay, ay, ay. Crashed out of a fourth of the schedule. Definitely not what you want to see if you're Team Penske. He did make the playoffs, so that automatically kind of jumps you up into the B range. But the playoffs were just utterly abysmal. And I do think Josh Berry was like very good overall in the playoffs, like in his runs. Like he had good speed. It's just he got kind of unlucky there. And that being considered, he was caught up in the back of the pack. And if you're a playoff driver, you shouldn't be back there if you're going to compete for a championship. So maybe I should put that in consideration. But for Josh Berry, I think this season overall was a B. 8 top 10s, 3 top 5s, and a win in his first season with the Wood Brothers. That's not bad. This is the first good season that the Wood Brothers have had pretty much in a couple years, like pre 2020. I mean, like Ryan Blaney days. That's how long it's been since the Wood Brothers have had a good driver. Ryan Blaney is up next, sticking with the Penske cars. Finished sixth in points, had a 14th average finish, 15 top fives, 19 top tens, and 4 wins. 8 DNFs is not good, but he definitely kind of cut back on those as the year went on. So imagine where Ryan Blaney would be if he didn't have those 8 DNFs, because Ryan Blaney this entire year was the best Ford car overall, not just at Penske, but Ford overall. He was their guy. So I feel like that's worth mentioning for Ryan Blaney. I think this year was really, really good for Blaney, kind of building off another good season in 2024 after winning the championship in 2023. So this was a good year for Ryan Blaney. I'm gonna give Ryan Blaney a B plus. I don't think it was quite the same as maybe Christopher Bell, maybe in the same range as Bell. I did say B plus, A minus. So that's kind of what I'm going to give for Ryan Blaney. It was still a really good year. Just think of what it could have been if he didn't have those 8 DNFs and was a little bit more consistent in the playoffs. But especially those 8 DNFs kind of hurt him. So it was overall a really good year for Ryan Blaney. B plus for me feels like a good grade. But moving on to Alex Bowman. Oh boy. This is a tough one because Alex Bowman, this year was not a good one. I mean, 13th in points, made the playoffs by pointing his way in, did not have a win. He started out the year so good. He almost won Homestead until he crashed in the outside wall and let his teammate Kyle Larson go by. But since then, he just did not have that good speed. He had not led a ton of laps, 165 laps led. That was pretty much all from one race. So, yeah, this was not a good year for Alex Bowman. 16th average starting position, 17th average finish. I mean, this was just kind of a meh year, especially for Hendrick Motorsports standards. 2 poles, 6 top 5s, 16 top 10s. Like, I don't know if those are numbers that Hendrick Motorsports are going to really be wanting to keep someone with those stats around. So I don't know. This was just a meh year overall. This was a very kind of like typical Alex Bowman season. Doesn't win, doesn't lead a lot of laps, but is able to point his way in. Just a meh year. I'm going to give that a C. Not what you want to see out of a Hendrick Motorsports driver in Alex Bowman. So C for Alex Bowman. He needs to step it up for next year. Definitely. On the opposite side of the spectrum, however, Chase Briscoe, his first year with Joe Gibbs Racing, had the dream season. And both these guys, Chase Briscoe and James Small, came into this year with a lot of pressure, a lot of questions surrounding them. Is Chase Briscoe the guy to replace Martin Truex Jr.? Is James Small still the guy on that pit box? And this year, yeah, they proved it why. Finished third in points this year, battled through a lot at Phoenix, and led 884 laps, a very good year. Had an average finish of 12th, had 7 pole awards, 15 top 5s, 19 top 10s, and 3 wins. This was a very good year for Chase Briscoe overall, making the championship 4 in his first season. Yeah, this is an A-plus season for Chase Briscoe. But now we know expectations going forward are going to be a little bit different. We can expect Chase Briscoe to be contending for a championship 4 spot going forward. So this is a very telling year for Chase Briscoe, but I'm excited to see what he can do next season in the 19 car for Joe Gibbs Racing. A plus for Chase Briscoe. Moving on to Chris Buescher and RFK Racing. Chris Buescher had a good year. He had a pretty solid year. He didn't win a race this year, so he's on a bit of a winless streak, but 16 top 10s, 5 top 5s, had average finish of 14th, so he was very consistent in that regard. Only 2 DNFs this year as well, which is very, very good. Finished just outside the playoffs, 17th in points. Was very close to pointing his way in as well, so overall, Chris Buescher had a very Chris Buescher-esque season. It's been a little while since he won a race again, so there's that as well. But for Chris Buescher, this was what you kind of expect from him. Would like to see him win, but all of RFK and all the teams that expanded to a third car did have some issues. They did take some steps back, maybe just one step back for RFK. They were still very, very solid. I mean, we'll get to Brad Keselowski, but he did not have a good start to the season. That really kind of set him back for the entire season. But they did start to figure it out towards the end of the year. I mean, Ryan Preece, Chris Buescher, Keselowski, they were all running really, really good at the end of the year. So for Chris Buescher, I think this year was not what we wanted to see. We were expecting a little bit more, but it was still a pretty solid season. So I'm going to give this a B minus to Chris Buescher. But moving on to Kyle Busch, however, oh my goodness. Like, this was just an absolutely horrendous season for Kyle Busch. I mean, 17th average finish, a career low, 10 top 10s, a career low as well, 3 top 5s, a career low, 21st in points, first time finishing outside the top 20 in points in his career, a career worst. 2 DNFs, though. That's a lot better than last year. So just continue to build off his terrible year last year with an even worse season this year. I mean, good Lord, Kyle Busch, man, this was just a tough year. The good thing is, though, for Kyle Busch fans, with Andy Street as the interim crew chief, he did have some good runs towards the end of the season. Actually had a good result at Phoenix as well. And with Jim Pullman coming in, gives you a little bit more optimism, in my opinion. But yeah, for Kyle Busch, a champion of the sport, you're expecting a lot more with Richard Childress Racing Equipment, a team that has a reputation. Yeah, this is an F overall for Kyle Busch. Easy F. I hate to do it, but hopefully next year things will be different. Next up is William Byron in the 24 car for Hendrick Motorsports. Definitely took a little bit of a step back this year. The third time wasn't the charm for him in the Championship 4, but this was still a really good season. 4th in points, even though he was running second at Phoenix, and before he blew a tire, was doing the best he could until he blew that tire. But has 3 wins, 3 poles, 11 top fives, 16 top tens, over 1,000 laps led, 13,000 or not 13,000, 1,331 laps led, a 14th average finish. Very good season overall from William Byron. And making the championship four once again, you would kind of expect that from him. And this year we were hoping that maybe he would step up and take that championship, but maybe fourth time's the charm for William Byron. So I'm going to give William Byron an A. I was expecting, like, if he did win the championship, this would be an easy A plus for him, but an A feels really, really good. Didn't quite meet the best where he could be, but it was still a really good season overall for William Byron. So A for the 24 team. Moving on to Ross Chastain and Trackhouse Racing. This was definitely a down year for Ross Chastain. Didn't lead as many laps, only led 83 laps overall this year, but had a 15th average finish, 4 top 10s, 12 top 10, 4 top 5s, 12 top 10s and a win. So this was definitely a down year for Chastain, but like I already mentioned, the teams that did expand to 3 full-time cars, so RFK, Trackhouse, Front Row Motorsports, 2311 Racing, they all kind of took a step back in a sense. And this was very prominent for Ross Chastain. I mean, they kind of struggled overall, except for SVG, who did get those 5 wins. So yeah, Chastain, this was definitely a down year, but still made the playoffs with that win. Was able to make it to the round of 12. Got eliminated, I believe, in the round of he got eliminated in the round of he got eliminated in the round of 12 at Charlotte. Yeah, he had that fail melon attempt. I gotta just pull that out of my memory real quick. So yeah, Chastain, a little bit of an underwhelming year, but still did a good amount with what he had. I'm gonna give Chastain a B. Good season. Would like to see a little bit more next year. However, I think will be a lot better for Trackhouse with the coming in of Brandon McSwain, Hendrick Motorsports engineer. I think good things are coming for Ross Chastain going forward. Moving on to Austin Cindric, however, yeah, things are not as pretty. I mean, 14th in points, but really was only there because he had that win at Talladega. I want to emphasize at Talladega, a super speedway race. Yeah, not a good season for Austin Cindric overall. His best season was his rookie year, and it has not been the same since. 20th place average finish, only 2 top 5s and 5 top 10s. Did lead over 300 laps, but Talladega once again, yeah, this was definitely not a good year for Cindric despite getting that win. Like, just take away that win. He's easily on the hot seat for next season. I know he's coming back, but he's going to need to prove himself for next year if he does want to keep his ride for 2027. So hopefully Cindric can turn things around, but it's not looking good for Austin Cindric in that 2 car. As for his grade, yeah, I'm gonna just give this a C plus. It's just outside the B. He made the playoffs, but in a Penske car, you'd expect him to make the playoffs, and it wasn't a great season that maybe deserves a playoff spot. So a C for Austin Cindric, or C plus, excuse me, C plus for Austin Cindric. Moving on to Cole Custer and the 41 team for the Haas factory team. Yeah, this was definitely not a good year for Haas factory team, but expectations, if there were any, were very, very low. 23rd average finish, 32nd in points, 2 top 5s and 3 top 10s. I mean, it's not horrible. I mean, at times we did see Cole Custer have some good speed, but it was few and far between overall. So for Cole Custer, yeah, it wasn't a good year, but maybe moving over to Chevrolet will help turn things around a little bit more. So for Cole Custer, I'm just gonna give this a C minus. I mean, expectations weren't really high to begin with. I mean, from what their crew chief Aaron Kramer did say that this was gonna be like a fourth RFK car, certainly didn't really look like it. Maybe at times there was, but not all the time overall. So C minus, D plus for the Haas factory team. Probably gonna leave with the C minus. I'll be a little bit generous here. So C minus for Cole Custer and the Haas factory team. Moving on to Ty Dillon and Calling Racing, the other Calling Racing car. I mean, this was a weird year for Ty Dillon. Before possibly the last little bit of the season, Las Vegas and Talladega, he probably would have had like a C minus or a C range because I wasn't expecting from Ty Dillon, except that maybe he was going to keep the car clean. But he had 3 DNFs this year, which, I don't know about how to feel about that, especially for a guy that is supposed to take care of his car. So I don't know about that. But 33rd in points, 24th average finish, not great. Only 1 top 10, 0 top 5s. Wasn't a good year for Ty Dillon. And after what happened on the pit road mistakes at Las Vegas and Talladega, yeah, this is a pretty easy D for Ty Dillon. I mean, just wasn't a good year. Can't expect a lot from him, but Wasn't good overall. Moving on, though. We have Austin Dillon up next, the brother of Ty Dillon. Qualified for the playoffs. He got that win at Richmond, had 5 top 10s, 1 top 5 that did probably come at Richmond, 3 DNFs, only 100 laps led, 20th average finish. Yeah, it was just a mid-year for Austin Dillon. I'm actually kind of surprised I'm giving him a higher grade than Kyle Busch. Tell that to a 2018 NASCAR fan. I'm giving a higher grade to Austin Dillon than Kyle Busch. Just imagine their reaction. So yeah, kind of a weird year for Austin Dillon, so I'm gonna give him a C. He got that win at Richmond. This time it actually counted towards playoff eligibility. So just Richard Childress Racing did not look as good. He actually had, he didn't have better stats than Kyle Busch, but yeah, he had that win. So maybe that counts a little bit more for Austin Dillon than Kyle Busch. Anyway, C for Austin Dillon. We're just gonna move on. We got Chase Elliott up next, eighth in points for Chase Elliott. He had 19 top 10s, 11 top 5s, 2 wins on the year, 3 DNFs, and a 12th place average finish. Very consistent season for Chase Elliott. Kind of similar to Chris Buescher, except he was able to get some wins on the board. Broke a winless streak, the first multi-win season that Chase Elliott has had since 2022, the first year of the next-gen car. So for Chase Elliott, not a bad season. I'm willing to give this a little bit more leniency than Alex Bowman, even though he didn't win a ton of races, didn't have the most amount of laps led, only 454 laps led in total. But he did get 2 wins. He was running up and up at the front more than Alex Bowman at a consistent rate this year. So I'm gonna give Chase Elliott a B plus. I think a B plus is very reasonable for Chase Elliott moving forward. Moving on to Ty Gibbs in the 54 car. Yeah, this was not the season that we hoped for. We hoped that Ty Gibbs was maybe going to take a leap, maybe get his first win of his NASCAR Cup Series career, but that didn't happen. 17th place average finish, 5 top 5s, 10 top 10s, 4 DNFs, and 0 wins, only 304 laps led. Definitely not the season that Ty Gibbs wanted. 19th place finish in the point standings. Yeah, we were hoping a lot more from Ty Gibbs. He was close to pointing his way in at times, but just didn't look like he had the same speed. New crew chief maybe played a part into that, but it was Tyler Allen, a guy that he did actually work with on Joe Gibbs Racing Xfinity Series team, so he was maybe a little bit familiar with Tyler Allen, but maybe that kind of played an impact. I'm willing to be a little bit more lenient to Ty Gibbs. I'm gonna give him a C minus. Didn't quite meet expectations, but I'm not gonna put him in the D range because it wasn't overall like a terrible season, but definitely did not meet the expectations that he had going into this season. Moving on to Todd Gilliland and the 34 team. I was hoping a little bit more from Todd Gilliland, but the team did expand to a third full-time car. That definitely played an impact. Again, hoping for a little bit more, but didn't really quite get it. He did show flashes of it a little bit towards the end of the year, had a couple good runs, but that wasn't really a lot. Had a 20th place average finish, 1 top 5, 5 top 10s, and 27th in points. Hoping a little bit more, but didn't really get it. I think for Todd Gilliland, I'm going to give this a C. Wasn't a great year. I was hoping for a little bit more. Maybe next year he'll give it to me and he'll kind of improve. Same with his teammate Zane Smith, who we'll talk about in a little bit coming up. Moving on to his other teammate, I guess, of Noah Gragson. Yeah, this was not a good year for Noah Gragson. 34th in points, 8 DNFs, 3 top 10s, 1 top 5, only 7 laps led, and a 25th place average finish. Yeah, not a good season for Noah Gragson. Brought over the same crew chief from Stewart Haas Racing and Drew Blickensderfer, but yeah, just didn't happen. I don't know what went wrong for Noah Gragson. Maybe next year things will work out a little bit better. I definitely think that 8 DNFs kind of played into effect, so maybe he'll cut down on that and things will kind of improve. But yeah, for Noah Gragson, this is an F. I mean, expectations were maybe that he was going to be top 30 for Front Row Motorsports, but yeah, 34th, not a good year overall. F for Noah Gragson. Hate to do it. Moving on to Justin Haley. Okay, this is going to be a very tough one because Justin Haley, I'm not going to fail him, even though he did have a disappointing season when his teammates of McDowell and Hocevar, who we'll get to in a little bit, they all had pretty good seasons. I mean, Haley was 31st in points while his teammates were up in the top 20s, top 25 to be more specific, and Hocevar had a lot better speed this season. Haley had a 22nd place average finish. Get this, 22nd.222 average finish. Man, that's kind of funny. 1 top 5, 2 top 10s. Yeah, not a very good season overall. However, Justin Haley just kind of had the rug pulled out from under him. I mean, Rodney Childers, the guy that assembled this entire team in the offseason, didn't make it through the first like fourth of the year, was let go. Cheddar Smith, the engineer, was shipped off to Hendrick Motorsports. So it was, I mean, Justin Haley kind of got screwed over about halfway through the year, but now he's going to find himself in hopefully a competitive truck series ride next year with Calling, so maybe he can kind of rebuild his career from there. But yeah, definitely not a good year for Justin Haley. I'm gonna give him a D minus, hoping for more, but I'm not gonna fail him because he had things go wrong in the year that weren't really his fault. So yeah, D minus for Justin Haley. Moving on to Denny Hamlin. This is another big one. Second in points, only behind Kyle Larson, the champion, and a 13th place average finish, 5 poles, 14 top fives, and 18 top tens, with over 1,000 laps led with 6 wins. Very good season for Denny Hamlin. And coming into this year with a new crew chief with Chris Gabehart, his crew chief that he's had so much success with this year, now moving into another role with Joe Gibbs Racing, and all the expectations of having FedEx leave in the offseason, having to manage a race team, having a lawsuit over behind his head. He's having a lot to go on, a new baby at home. Everything that Denny Hamlin had to go through this year, still to finish in second in points, is very impressive and finished just behind Kyle Larson in the championship fight. Yeah, this was a good year for Denny Hamlin. I'm going to give this an A+. I really don't know how much more I have to say to make you believe that an A+ season is deserved for Denny Hamlin, at least for a grade. A+ for Denny Hamlin. It was a really good year. We move on to one of Denny Hamlin's cars, the 35 car of Riley Herbst. Yeah, this was not a good rookie season for Riley Herbst. I mean, in a 2311 racing car, yes, they did expand to a third full-time car now this year, but 0 top fives, 0 top tens, 2 laps led, 5 DNFs, and a 26th place average finish. Yeah, that is not good overall. New crew chief, the guy that he worked with in the Xfinity Series with Davin Restivo, a guy that he's very familiar with, but that team just did nothing overall. And you expect them to be at least competing for a top 20 or like a top 30 spot, you would think, as a rookie, but man, not it. 35th in points in the 35 car is very funny, though. I will find that kind of funny. Yeah, this was not a good year for Riley Herbst. I'm going to give him an F. I mean, you'd expect a little bit more out of a guy in a Joe Gibbs Racing aligned car and a team that has Bubba Wallace and Tyler Reddick, who we'll get to in a little bit, being consistently in the running for winning races. Like you'd expect a little bit more from Riley Herbst, but apparently not. F for Riley Herbst. We now move on to Carson Hocevar, or Hurricane Hocevar, as the guys in the NBC booth like to call it. Carson Hocevar, I think, definitely took a step forward from his rookie season. However, a 21st place average finish is not helping him at all. Neither is 8 DNFs. Did have a pole, had 2 top fives and 9 top tens. Did not get a win, however. But this was still a pretty solid season for Carson Hocevar. I mean, at a point in the summer, he looked like he was going to be getting his first win at some point soon, but did not really do that, kind of faded towards the end of the year, wasn't as consistent. So Carson Hocevar, I wasn't really expecting him to reach this kind of level, but with how much Spire has invested, now we know that Carson Hocevar and Michael McDowell, for that matter, maybe are considered playoff possibilities, maybe in the coming years. So for Carson Hocevar, I'm going to give him a B. I think a B is kind of fair. Definitely kind of cooled off, not as consistent, but maybe we'll see some consistency out of Carson Hocevar going forward into next season. We now move on to Eric Jones and Legacy Motor Club. Yeah, this was a pretty solid season for Eric Jones in Legacy Motor Club's second year with Toyota. They kind of built up their notebook. So yeah, this was a pretty solid year for Eric Jones. 20th place average finish, 4 top fives, 4 top tens, 4 DNFs. It did look like for a little bit that he may win another Southern 500 this year, battling with Hamlin and Chase Briscoe, but eventually could not get it. 24th in points, not a bad year for Eric Jones, a little bit better than last year, definitely. Maybe next year they'll be competing for a playoff spot along with his teammate of John Hunter Nemechek, which we'll get to in a little bit. So for Eric Jones, I'm going to give this a B minus. I feel generous. I feel like this was a very solid season, a step forward for Eric Jones. I think a B minus kind of suits them pretty well. Moving on to Brad Keselowski. I mean, this was definitely an interesting year for Brad Keselowski. New crew chief with Jeremy Bolins, a guy that he worked with for a long time at Team Penske. 18th place average finish. had a really rough start to the season. 6 top 5s, though, 13 top 10s, was running a little bit better towards the end of the season. I think RFK was maybe starting to figure it out a little bit more. All three of their cars were. So Keselowski definitely started to improve a little bit towards the end of the season. Maybe they'll carry that momentum a little bit more into next season. But for Brad Keselowski in his 2025 season, after having a win in 2024, a little bit disappointed in the results. 20th place average, 25th, 20th place finish in points. Man, that's a tongue twister. I think Brad Keselowski, I'm gonna give him a C. I was expecting a little bit more, but adding a third car definitely didn't help him overall. As a team owner, was expecting probably a little bit more as well. So C for Brad Keselowski feels fair. Maybe he'll improve on it a little bit more heading into next season. But here we move on to the champion, Kyle Larson. Obviously, he won the championship, had a very good season overall, had 3 wins, 22 top 10s, 15 top 5s, a pole, a 13th place average finish, led over 1,000 laps, only had 2 DNFs, which is really good to see out of Kyle Larson. This was a good season overall for Larson, very consistent overall. Was a stretch that he wasn't dominating races, but was still consistent overall, getting some top 10s, getting some top 5s, just not leading a ton of laps towards the end of the year. But I think overall, though, he was probably the most deserving champion out of the 4 championship 4 contenders. This was a great year for Kyle Larson. He gets an A+ from me. He'll hopefully be able to build off this into next season. We move on to last year's champion of Joey Logano. So this was a very confusing year for Joey Logano. Obviously, it being a odd number year, the superstition is that Logano is not going to be as good as the even years, but still 7th in points, 2 poles, 7 top 5s, 13 top 10s, a win, and led 500 laps, 15th place average finish. Definitely not great, but still not terrible overall. Just maybe a little bit better you'd expect from a guy who's a champion and drives for Team Penske. So, yeah, this is a very interesting year for Joey Logano. Still 7th in points, still not terrible overall. I think I'm going to give Logano a B minus. Expect a little bit more, but yeah, even odd number year 2 is going to play into that, but he's still a really good guy, really good driver, has Paul Wolf on the pit box. Maybe next year they'll come out on top in an even number year. So yeah, Logano, B minus for his 2025 season. Up next, we have Michael McDowell in his first season with Spire Motorsports. And I'm going to be honest, it was a little bit of a disappointment. I'm not going to lie. 22nd in points, maybe not expecting that. I mean, he'd worked a lot to get Front Row Motorsports to where it was, being a very solid team overall, a fringe playoff contender. 18th place average finish, 2 poles, 3 top 5s, and 6 top 10s. That was a little underwhelming overall. Brought Travis Peterson over with him to Spire, so familiar crew chief, but definitely not what you want to see from a former Daytona 500 winner. So, yeah, for Michael McDowell, I was expecting a little bit, but Spire definitely kind of cooled off towards the end of the season. I'm going to give Michael McDowell a C+ on the season. Sorry, was expecting a little bit more, but still not bad overall. Maybe next year they'll be truly contending for a playoff spot next season. He's still very good on road courses, so maybe that's, if there is win year end, maybe he'll be able to get into the playoffs that way. Moving on to John Hunter Nemechek in the other Legacy Motor Club car. Yeah, for John Hunter Nemechek, I like this season overall. 25th in points, 1 spot behind his teammate of Eric Jones. 2 top 5s, 8 top 10s, 20th place average finish. A little less DNFs than last year overall, so that's very good to see. For John Hunter Nemechek, though, the new crew chief of Travis Mack as well, I think this was a good season for John Hunter Nemechek. Definitely elevated from last year, was more consistent than last year. Definitely cooled off a little bit in the second half of the year. Had that insane crash at Kansas where he sent Zane Smith up into the wall. So yeah, that was that happened. But for John Hunter Nemechek, I'm willing to give him the same grade as his teammate of Eric Jones. I'm going to give him a B minus. Maybe next year he'll be competing for a top 20 spot in the standings next year. Moving on to Ryan Preece, the final RFK car in his first season with RFK. And for expectations for him, were definitely a little bit interesting. For this year, compared to his teammates of Buescher and Keselowski, their expectations are to possibly win races and contend for the playoffs. For Ryan Preece, he just wanted to be there to really show that he belonged in the NASCAR Cup Series, and I think he did. He is the second best finishing driver out of all the RFK cars. Had a pole award, 3 top 5s, 14 top 10s, 18th in points, 15th place average finish. Very good season overall for Ryan Preece. Didn't lead a lot of laps overall. Didn't qualify very great either. I will say that, but was able to consistently work his way back forward and get some constant, good finishing results. So for Ryan Preece, not a bad first season with RFK. And I think this next year he could be potentially competing for wins and a playoff spot. You never know. So for Ryan Preece, I'm willing to give him a B. I think this was a good year for Ryan Preece. Actually, B plus for Ryan Preece. B plus for Ryan Preece. Feels really, really good. So, really good job by Ryan Preece this year in his first year with RFK. Up next, we have Tyler Reddick. Disappointing season for Reddick, but still very, very solid. No wins is the really big thing that kind of stands out with Tyler Reddick. His first winless season since 2021, so that's something that needs to be pointed out. But 2311 Racing did expand to a third full-time car, so that has some impact. I'm pretty sure, I believe. 14th place average finish, 2 poles, 7 top fives, 14 top tens, only 1 DNF, which is really good to see out of Tyler Reddick. So next year, maybe Reddick will kind of get it back on track and potentially compete for more wins. He was in the running in several occasions, but didn't have enough at the end to compete for the victories. Ninth in driver standings, did get eliminated in the round of 12, so that definitely kind of sucks. But Reddick overall, pretty solid season. I'm going to give him a B as well. Next up, we have Zane Smith in the 38 team. First year with Front Row Motorsports, actually back with Front Row Motorsports, and at times he did look like the best Front Row Motorsports car, but at the end of the day, he actually ended up being the second best behind Todd Gilliland with a 28th place finish in points. Did have a pole award, which is very impressive. I think he got that at Talladega in the spring. 21st place average finish, 1 top 5, 5 top 10s, 5 DNFs. Yeah, definitely not a great year, but a new team with him returning to the Cup Series to return to Front Row Motorsports, second year in the Cup Series, and expanding to a third full-time car. Front Row Motorsports did. So yeah, I think you can kind of give a little bit more grace to Zane Smith. The one thing that will stand out from his season overall is that he rode the wall at Kansas and was riding it in a completely different way than Ross Chastain did. He was literally up against it on his side. So that will be one thing that always stands out to me from Zane Smith's 2025 season. I mean, that alone might just give him like an extra bump up in a letter grade. So I think for Zane Smith, I'm gonna give him a C plus. Not a bad year. First season back with Front Row. Was expecting a little bit more, but still not bad. We move on to Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Hayek Motorsports in their first season of operation. Yeah, this was not a good year for Ricky Stenhouse Jr. A lot of turnover in the offseason for this team, having the Geschecter families, the Geschecter family, not families. They leave the team, and now it's Hayek Motorsports, owned by Gordon Smith. And yeah, this is a interesting team overall. Did not have a good season, 30th in points. Was expecting a little bit more. I mean, this team went from being in the playoffs and winning the Daytona 500 in 2023 to now being outside the top 30, or just being on the cut of the top 30. 22nd place average finish, 1 top 5, 3 top 10s. Yeah, not a good year for Ricky Stenhouse Jr. I'm gonna give him a D. Just not good year overall. Expectations weren't the highest, but yeah, it wasn't definitely great towards the end of the season. Had flashes, but they weren't a lot, and they were few and far between. So D for Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Only a couple more here, guys. Trust me. I know it's a long one, but only a couple more. We got Daniel Suarez up next. Yeah, this is going to be a tough one to grade. 29th in points, not great. 20th place average finish, 2 top 5s, 7 top 10s, 9 DNFs. Yikes, not good. And he lost his ride to Connor Zilic. He did get a new ride with Spire Motorsports, which may be an upgrade. You never know. But definitely not the year Daniel Suarez wanted to have, especially in a contract year. I'm not going to fail him because this wasn't an entirely bad year. 29th in points, though, is not good at all, especially when Chastain and SVG were pretty much miles better than Shane Van Gisbergen, than him. And at the end of the year, SVG was outrunning Daniel Suarez on some of the ovals, which maybe is not a good look for Daniel Suarez. So I'm going to give Daniel Suarez a D minus. Not a good year for Suarez. Maybe things will be better next year at Spire. Speaking of Shane Van Gisbergen, he is up next. So SVG, a rookie year this year, 12th in points, 3 poles. It was a good year. It was a good year for SVG, at least as rookies go, but he's no rookie. I mean, he's got several championships in the Australian Supercar Series. So don't call him that much of a rookie, in my opinion. So 21st place average finish on the dot, 3 poles, 5 top 5s, 7 top 10s, and 5 wins for DNFs. Not great. Did lead over 300 laps, so SVG was very consistent on the road courses, and towards the end of the year, he was starting to get better on the ovals, so that gives me a little bit more cause for confidence. But now he's got a new number for 2026 with the 97. I think he's going to be keeping the same crew chief of Steven Duran, so that gets me a little bit more excited for next year. Hopefully, SVG can build off of this season. So for SVG, I'm going to give him a B. He competed at pretty much every single road course except COTA and did get better at the ovals. Not a bad year for SVG, and he won Rookie of the Year, 12th in points. Yeah, I think B fits the mold pretty good. And the penultimate driver from today's grades, we have Bubba Wallace with the new crew chief of Charleston Nike this season. And Bubba Wallace had probably his best season in the NASCAR Cup Series. Looking at his stats, had a win. He got that win this season at the Brickyard 400. What a way to snap a winless streak. 18th place average finish, 6 top 5s, 14 top 10s, 9 DNFs. Ooh, yeah, that's not very good. But 11th in points. Definitely not bad from Bubba Wallace. Led over 300 laps. Very solid season from Bubba Wallace overall this season. So I did like what Bubba Wallace did overall this year. Definitely kind of cooled off towards the end of the year, and as the playoffs went on, maybe lost a little bit of that heat from the summer, but still really good for Bubba Wallace in his first year with new crew chief of Charleston Nike. I'm going to give him a B as well. Hopefully next year he'll be able to build off this momentum and this good season overall. And the final driver that we have to grade today, unfortunately, is Cody Ware and Rick Ware Racing. Yeah. This is what a way to end the episode, guys. I love it. Average finish to 30th, 0 poles, 0 top 5s, 0 top 10s, 11 DNFs. Oh boy. Oh man. Man, this team was making some good strides last year with Justin Haley and even Corey LaJoie, but now bringing in Cody Ware, yeah, it was definitely not a good idea. I mean, 36th in points. Yeah, this was just a bad year from Rick Ware Racing. They had made some strides last year, but didn't do anything with it this year, bringing back Cody Ware. So yeah, F for Rick Ware Racing and Cody Ware. Like, it's nothing personal against Cody, but yeah, this is just an easily terrible year for Rick Ware Racing after the improvements that they may have made last year just all wiped away, just like that. So there you go. Those are my grades for every single NASCAR Cup Series Drivers 2025 season. Let me know down in the comments how your driver fared this season with my grading system. And let me know if my grading system is a little bit skewed or if it's just right. Let me know down in the comment section below. But that will do it for me, everybody. Hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you did, and you're listening on YouTube specifically, please hit that like and subscribe button down below so you never miss another episode on this show. If you're listening on any other podcast platforms, please consider following this show so you never miss another upload as well. And if you like what I'm doing over here, go check out Talking Sports with Miles and Andrew, the other show I do on a semi-daily basis, I should say. Co-hosted with my good friend Miles Shield. Talk about sports overall, not just NASCAR. So if maybe NASCAR isn't the only thing you're interested in, you can go check out Talking Sports. Baseball, basketball, football, a little bit of hockey, a little bit of college sports. We got a lot of stuff over there. So go check it out. It's really good fun, and I think you'll really enjoy it. But as for me on this show, that's all I got for you guys today, and I will see you in the next episode that I do. Bye.